Macmillan Audio presents Victoria and Albert, A Royal Love Affair by Daisy Goodwin and Sarah Sheridan. Read for you by Jessica Ball and Dugald Bruce Lockhart.
Victoria and Albert. It could have been a disaster. First cousins catapulted into a match that suited the dynastic ambitions of their relatives. A pair who seemed to have nothing in common. He was a highbrow who had studied science and philosophy. She liked dancing and watching lion tamers. He got up early and ate very frugally. She liked to sleep in and loved tucking into a plate of lamb chops. All they had in common was their liking for dogs. He had a greyhound called Eos. She, of course, had Dash. Music. Oh, and an overwhelming physical attraction for each other. You only have to read Victoria's diaries during their courtship to know that this is no marriage of convenience, but a throbbingly passionate love match. She writes about Albert in his white cashmere breeches with nothing underneath. He writes about how his whole soul longs for Victoria. This was a pair who couldn't keep their hands off each other, as their 9 children in 17 years testifies. One of my favourite facts about Albert is that he came up with a special gadget that meant he could lock their door without getting out of bed, which was handy if you had a palace full of servants and children. But Victoria and Albert's marriage was passionate in every sense. They were the Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton of the 19th century, 2 huge personalities who were locked in a battle for mastery over the other. They fought fiercely, with stand-up rows that raged all over the palace, and then they made up with equal passion. Their rows were over things that many modern couples can relate to: the upbringing of their children, the amount of time they spent away from each other, the inequality between them when it came to status. As Albert wrote sadly to one of his friends, "I am the husband, but not the master in the house." However, unlike some modern mismatched royal couples we could mention, Victoria and Albert were able to accommodate this, allowing Albert to make a significant contribution to his adopted country, while still supporting his wife. After his death, Victoria wrote that Albert did everything for her, even chose her bonnets. But I think she was trying in retrospect to portray herself as the kind of perfect, submissive Victorian wife that she definitely wasn't. One of the things that makes Victoria such an attractive subject for a modern writer and audience is that no one ever puts Victoria in a corner. She may have liked to present herself as a little woman, and she was undoubtedly small, but she never ever went under. The pictures of the couple always have Victoria gazing adoringly up at her husband, but that was definitely her way of redressing the imbalance in their relationship. As I have Victoria say in a scene in the first episode of Series 2, when Albert is dressed up in his hussar's uniform, ready to inspect his regiment, "It may be your regiment, Albert, but it is my army." Despite the dramatic nature of their fights, the hairbrush-throwing incident in the series and the time when Albert refuses to come back from a dinner are both based on real events. Victoria and Albert were brilliant at keeping their domestic squabbles out of the public eye. After a succession of fat, old kings with frumpy German wives, the young Victoria, her handsome prince, and their ever-growing brood of adorable children were an image that gladdened the nation's heart. Or at least the part of the nation that wasn't complaining about how much all this domestic bliss was costing. In the 1840s, the royal family became, for the first time, not just a symbol of power, but also a role model. Everybody wanted to play happy families like the royal couple, who, unlike their predecessors, did not have lovers or indulge in gambling or other decadent pursuits. Victoria and Albert may have given each other lavish presents in private, but in public they seemed like an ordinary bourgeois couple, just with better clothes. Their genius as a couple was not just to have one of the most successful royal marriages ever, but to reinvent the British monarchy as a cosy incarnation of domestic bliss that everyone could aspire to. Their fights may have been rocket.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?